There is a lot going on right now as we approach the end of 2025, and the political landscape across the bloc is shifting in ways that matter for every viewer. Today, we are going to unpack the latest developments in EU politics, from major decisions on foreign policy and economic agreements to internal instability in member states and shifts in regulatory priorities. This is not just domestic European news. Decisions made in Brussels and in the capitals of EU member states now have global implications. If you're interested in understanding where EU policymaking is going and how it affects your world, you're in the right place. Let's start with one of the most striking stories in EU politics this week. The European Union has taken a decisive step in its response to the ongoing war in Ukraine by agreeing to indefinitely freeze 210 billion euros of Russian central bank assets held within EU jurisdiction. This move removes the need for periodic renewals and significantly limits Russia's ability to benefit from those assets, even in the face of legal challenges. It also clears a major hurdle for an anticipated EU-backed loan to Ukraine worth up to 165 billion euros, scheduled to be finalized at a summit this month. Ukraine has strongly welcomed the decision, framing it as a meaningful step toward justice and toward strengthening its defense and reconstruction efforts. Germany has pledged significant loan guarantees, and the talks around this financing package have drawn in leaders from across the bloc. Russia, for its part, has challenged the asset freeze as illegal and is pursuing legal action against European financial institutions over the move. This episode highlights a fundamental shift in how the EU is handling its economic tools as strategic instruments in geopolitical conflict. This decision intersects with the broader theme of EU foreign policy and defense readiness. Earlier in 2025, the European Commission and member states moved forward with an initiative known as Readiness 2030, a plan to significantly enhance Europe's military capabilities in response to geopolitical uncertainties and pressures. This reflects a broader strategic push within the Union to build resilience and reduce dependence on external security providers. Although not without controversy, it signals a major recalibration in how EU institutions view their role in security and defense matters. But not all of the turbulence in EU politics is about external threats. Internal political instability remains a significant challenge. In Bulgaria, massive anti-corruption protests culminated in the resignation of the government only weeks before the country is due to adopt the euro on January 1, 2026. This government collapse underscores how domestic dissatisfaction with corruption, economic concerns, and political fragmentation can suddenly reshape national politics. President Rumen Radev has begun consultations with parliamentary parties about forming a new government. But if no agreement is reached, a caretaker government and fresh elections may follow. Bulgaria's instability also comes amid concerns about external influence operations and debates over euro adoption, showing how domestic politics can have broader implications for EU integration. Across the Union, regional dynamics are also in play. The prime ministers of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have been urging the EU to give more attention to the economic challenges faced by the eastern border regions. These regions sit on the front line of geopolitical tensions with Russia and have specific infrastructure and economic development needs that differ from the EU's wealthier core areas. Their push signals an important conversation about cohesion, fairness, and how investment is targeted within the Union. EU politics is also being shaped by high-stakes trade decisions. The European Union is preparing to vote on the long-negotiated Mercosur trade deal with Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. This deal, which has been under negotiation for more than 25 years, aims to expand economic ties with one of the world's major agricultural and industrial regions. Supporters argue it is critical for the EU's economic diversification and global relevance, while opponents, especially in France and Italy, fear an influx of agricultural products could hurt domestic farmers. The vote is expected early next week, and its passage will require support from a broad coalition of member states. How this unfolds will tell us something important about the direction of EU trade policy at a time when the bloc is already navigating global shifts in trade power and tension with the United States and China. Along the same lines, internal EU regulatory policy continues to evolve. The European Council and Parliament recently struck a deal to simplify sustainability reporting and due diligence requirements for companies operating in the single market. The push for simplification reflects the Union's attempt to balance ambitious environmental objectives with a need to boost competitiveness across European industry. The aim is to make compliance less burdensome while still maintaining the Union's climate and sustainability goals. Another major shift in EU regulatory policy comes with the European Commission's intention to reverse the planned 2035 ban on the sale of new combustion engine cars. According to recent statements from the head of the European People's Party, this policy rethink is intended to offer more flexibility in how decarbonization targets are achieved, particularly by acknowledging alternative technologies such as synthetic fuels. Germany has been one of the main advocates for this shift, arguing that technology neutrality and market choice will strengthen the EU automotive industry's global competitiveness. This is a major development because the original ban was one of the most visible symbols of EU climate ambition, and its rollback could reframe debates over environmental policy and industrial strategy. Turning to institutional politics, the current European Commission, led by Ursula von der Leyen, remains central to the Union's strategic direction. After the 2024 European Parliament elections, the new Commission took office with a slimmer majority than previous ones, navigating a more complex political landscape within the Parliament. Despite this, President von der Leyen survived multiple no-confidence votes, underlining her ability to maintain broad, if sometimes fragile, support across political groups. This fragility in EU institutions mirrors a larger trend across Europe, where skepticism toward the political establishment and traditional parties continues to influence elections and public opinion. In the 2024 EU elections, for example, far-right and Eurosceptic parties made notable gains, even though mainstream pro-EU forces retained a majority overall. Analysts have suggested this reflects a broader backlash against globalism and a resurgence of populism, trends that are also visible in national politics across the continent. Now let's talk about enlargement and accession. Talks with Ukraine and Moldova have shifted to a working level after formal accession talks were stalled largely because of a veto from Hungary. This means that technical discussions around reform implementation are continuing even though the political green light for full negotiations has not been granted. This approach reflects a pragmatic strategy by the EU. Keep the process moving where possible without breaching the formal unanimity requirement that governs enlargement decisions. If political conditions change next year, full accession talks could yet be opened. Of course, enlargement is just one aspect of the EU's external engagement. Relations with major global players like the United States continue to shape European political dynamics. The EU's foreign policy posture has increasingly been on display in reactions to shifts in U.S. strategy, especially in light of the Trump administration's national security approach and its implications for transatlantic cooperation. European lawmakers and political leaders have expressed caution in response to comments and strategies that are perceived as attempting to drive wedges between key EU member states and their transatlantic partners. Closer to home, the EU has been pushing forward with initiatives aimed at strengthening democratic resilience within member states. The European Democracy Shield is one such effort, designed to enhance the integrity of democratic processes and protect civil society against threats like disinformation and foreign interference. This initiative includes plans for new protocols, civic tech hubs, and increased funding for civil society organizations. As digital and political threats evolve, these efforts reflect the Union's recognition that defending democracy is not just about elections, but about safeguarding the informational and social infrastructure that sustains civic life. Before we wrap up, let me remind you again to subscribe to EU Politics if you have not already. This channel is dedicated to clear and meaningful coverage of European politics, policy, and power. As we have seen in today's update, EU politics is moving on many fronts. The bloc is asserting its strategic autonomy with financial and regulatory tools, adjusting internal policies and governance, managing enlargement amid geopolitical tensions, and grappling with political shifts at home that reflect broader trends in public opinion. The European Union of 2025 is not a static project. It is responding to global pressures, internal challenges, and new political forces in ways that will shape its future for years to come. If you found today's breakdown useful, like the video, share it with others interested in EU affairs, and leave a comment letting us know what topic you want covered next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.